BMW muscled past the competition to claim their maiden victory in the GTP category. Now, BMW's return to the top class of sports car racing began with such optimism back in 2023. However, after nearly 2 winless seasons, this optimism is turning to disappointment, and frustrations are beginning to boil over. To add insult to injury, Team RLL, who runs the BMW program in the United States, is being investigated by the FBI. But hope remains, because with just under an hour remaining at Indy, in the field behind the safety car, the 24 of Philipp Eng lies in 3rd position, and he will look to turn the fortunes of these beleaguered BMWs by overtaking the competition and claiming that maiden victory for the M-hybrid V8. With Eng back in 3rd position, his teammate De Filippi is in 2nd, and Luis Delatraz leads the field in his number 40 red-nosed Acura as the safety car makes its way into the pit lane. Eng and De Filippi are caught behind the number 5 Proton Porsche though at the restart, which is 1 lap down to the overall leader and is building a buffer between the 40 Acura and these 2 BMWs. Down the front straight though, and De Filippi has a run on the number 5 Porsche as Eng weaves to put temperature into his cold Michelin tires. De Filippi is able to make his way past that number 5 Porsche on the brakes. As Eng puts the power down, he has a run on the number 5 Proton Porsche, but is not able to make his way past as he pokes his nose up the inside, going into this long right-hander, but has to settle in behind and is now losing time to the 2 cars ahead. As they exit the chicane though, he is firmly in the draft of Jimmy Bruni in this number 5 Porsche, who is kicking up sparks down this back straight. Eng pokes his nose up the inside and brakes late to make his way past that number 5 Proton Porsche and begin chasing down his teammate and the overall leader. Less than 5 minutes later, and Eng has already caught the back of De Filippi, who understeers wide through the final corner. It looks like that 25 car is struggling for tire temperature at this point in the stint. Eng just pokes his nose into the mirror of De Filippi to try to distract him into the braking zone. De Filippi brakes late into turn 1 and nearly loses the rear as he makes his way into the apex, clearly pushing that BMW as he lays down rubber on the exit as well, pushing as hard as he can to stay ahead of his teammate. He runs wide of the apex through the right-hander, clearly struggling at this point in the stint as Eng gets a good run through the chicane and is firmly in the draft of De Filippi, who kicks up dust and smoke going down the back straight. Into the sequence of tight corners, and Eng once again closes in on his teammate, with both of them actually closing up on the 40 as well. The race is on for the lead, and Eng has to push now to claim that victory for BMW as De Filippi once again runs wide through that right-hander, with Eng clobbering the curb. It is advantage 24 car. As they head into the braking zone, he pokes his nose up the inside of his teammate, but thinks better of it as he clobbers the apex curb into the left-hander, and he pokes his nose up the inside of De Filippi, who has to run a wide line, with Eng able to set up a better exit. He holds the left-hand side and then pops for a late apex on the right, with De Filippi understeering wide. Eng now fully in the draft of his teammate as they scream their way down the front straight and over the start-finish line. Into turn 1, and Eng pops to the right-hand side, brakes as late as he dares, and squeezes past his teammate through that first chicane. An aggressive move to claim 2nd position for the 24 car and to shuffle the 25 back to 3rd, with Eng now able to set his sights on catching that number 40 Acura of Luis Delatraz. With these 2 leaders hurling down the front straight, they have now caught the GTD traffic. Delatraz makes his way past the 80 Mercedes, with Eng having to fall in behind through turn 1. With Eng losing time to the 40 car, he flashes his lights to this number 80 Mercedes and pokes his nose up the right-hand side to make his way past. But Delatraz is now caught behind a McLaren, and into the chicane. The McLaren stays left. Delatraz goes right and has to straight line the chicane as he jumps his number 40 Acura over the curb. This compromises his exit, and Eng now has the run on the number 40 Acura going down the back straight. Eng goes to the right-hand side. Delatraz stays to the left and is able to just hold off that number 24 BMW. Through the right-hander, Eng clobbers the curb on the right-hand side, clobbers the curb on the left, stays tight to the left-hand side to try to set up a better exit out of this right-hander. And we can see that Delatraz is compromised once again by a GTD Acura, but Eng just isn't quite close enough to make a move into the braking zone. Through this right-hander, Eng clobbers the curb one more time and pokes his nose up the inside. He runs the number 24 BMW all the way to the edge of the road, leaving absolutely no space for that 40 Acura as he claims first place for BMW with just over 45 minutes remaining and begins to build a gap to this number 40 Acura. Delatraz is not giving up though and will continue to push to try to reclaim that top step of the podium. Into turn one, and Eng locks up, pushing that BMW to and past its limits. Through the right-hander, he is caught behind two GTD cars. Delatraz now looks around the outside of the BMW, which is compromised by this GTD traffic. Eng goes around the outside of both of them through the chicane though, and Delatraz is the one compromised, with Eng taking advantage of the traffic. And although you can't see it here, on the right-hand side is number 25 BMW, which was able to capitalize as well on that traffic as he sweeps around the outside of the 40 car, shuffling Delatraz back to third position and making it a BMW 1-2. Despite Eng now leading his teammate, De Filippi is not going to make it easy on the 24 crew. And as they head into the chicane, Eng is caught behind a GTD McLaren. It compromises his run. He has to go around the outside to make it past, and his teammate De Filippi is now alongside. It is 25 versus 24 for the win. De Filippi gets a nose ahead, but Eng breaks late into this tight left-hander and is able to barely hang on to that first position for the 24 crew. Through the slow sequence of corners, and Eng is caught behind a Porsche GTD car. He throws it up the inside through the right-hander and is able to make it past, but De Filippi is still all over the number 24 car as they make their way past the slow number 7 Porsche into this tight chicane. Eng defends to the inside with De Filippi caught behind as they once again make their way through GTD traffic on the exit of this left-hander. Despite that challenge from the 25 car, with 0 minutes left on the clock, Eng was able to hold on for that historic maiden victory for BMW. It has been a long road building up to this, but there must have been a collective sigh of relief back in Munich, Germany. Anyways, if you guys made it this far, I want to thank you so much for watching, so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the likes, all the comments, all the subscribers, and I want to especially shout out the members. Thank you so much. I love you guys. And I will see you in the next video.